I so hope that you heard the roar when that punch ended and just sensed the total disbelief of everybody who'd been watching this fight. He had been bossed. Huni had the fight for the taking, and he landed just a fabulous right hand. Down he went, and that was the end of the fight. Karen, give us your take.
Quite incredible. He was 7 rounds down on my card in that fight. He'd only won one round. He won 1 round and lost 8 rounds. They're 7 rounds down. And then he comes, as I said to you, Adam, earlier on, you would not pull Fabio Wardley out because he's got the dog in him. And as he just proved with that very tough, short right hand, he's always got the equaliser. He was completely outboxed for 9 rounds tonight, but he's got elite level qualities.
Wow. I don't think he landed a decent potential knockout punch in 9 rounds before that, and then when he looked just about spent, and I'll not forget the look on people's faces as that punch landed, because it was a real wow sort of moment.
It was jaw-dropping.
People were
gobsmacked. Do you know what respect where respect's due? You know, you're talking about character, and we're looking at our monitor. It travelled 6 inches, short right hand. Huni was coming onto the shot, carried his lead left hand low, switched off for a second. Beautiful shot, and that shows you, and that's why we've always talked about Fabio Wardley being a danger for any heavyweight in the world right now, because he's got that one-punch power, and he does not lose heart. Round 11, and he's behind the way he was behind. What a shot!
Yeah, what an incredible 10 rounds we've just witnessed, to be honest, because Fabio Wardley, you can never write off. That's a fairy tale finish after a nightmarish 9 rounds.
He got walloped. He got walloped.
And then dominated.
And then out of nowhere, a shot from the gods. That's the knockout of the year. That is the comeback of the year. You will not see anything like that again this year. That was phenomenal.
It's heavyweight boxing, baby.
Phenomenal.
This is heavyweight boxing.
Get your backside in that ring. We need to hear from the man. That is an unbelievable comeback.
Fabio, wow. Knockout of the year. Is it fair to say it wouldn't have felt like it to you because you were struggling through things? Many people had him 7 rounds up in the 9 rounds. Victory from the jaws of defeat. Does it make it any sweeter?
Yes and no. Obviously I want to perform. I don't want to just be the guy that loses every round and then pulls it out of the hat every time. That's a bit costly for me, costly for my career, because there's some serious tough guys in this game, and it's not always going to work. So look, I'm learning on the job. I know I'm 20 odd fights in now and I've got an interim world title and everything else, but I am still very much learning on the job. I'm trying to figure things out for myself. So yeah, look, we take that, a great win for what it is, and we go back to the drawing board and we pick it apart.
Obviously, you'd never have wanted to lose in front of your home crowd, but what an atmosphere tonight on a torrential night of rain. But they turned out for you. 3 of the stands completely packed, the floor eventually packed. You milked the walk-in. Can you say you've enjoyed the entire experience, apart from things that happened in the fight?
Yeah, look, I think I don't know. I'm not usually lost for words, but this has been one of the most special nights of my life. And like I said there, I thank everyone that came out, everyone that bought a ticket, everyone that's invested time in me, attention, whichever else. I can't thank everyone enough.
You might not have outboxed him tonight, but you certainly outpunched Justis Huni. We were talking about you in the build-up tonight and saying a fine victory for you tonight, and you'll go back and assess it with Ben and Robert and all your other guys around you, that you put yourself in the elite of the division. We already believe that you're around about 10th in the division in many people's eyes. Do you want the big fights now?
Yeah, of course, 100%. Look, I never, like I said there, I don't profess to be one of the most best and skillful boxers in the world, but one thing I said in the build-up I know how to do is I know how to win fights. One way or the other, last round, 10 rounds, round 1, whichever one, I can find a way to win.
Many congratulations, and thank you for thrilling us once more. Lick your wounds and come back stronger.
Appreciate it, thank you.
There's no wounds to lick. That man just landed the shot of a lifetime. He's now just picked up the interim championship belt. And he propels himself into that category of the Kabayels, the Parkers, just behind the Dubois when we're talking about the big title fights. Gareth Davis is still in the ring. Hopefully he's got some other people to speak to. Over to you, mate.
Fabio, very critical of his own performance there, rightly so. And we were wondering whether when you were going to read him the riot act, but you stayed very patient with him tonight.
Yeah, look, sometimes you've got to be honest in your approach to the fight and through the fight. We didn't go into the fight expecting Fabio to be banking rounds against Justis Huni, a world bronze medalist and youth world gold medalist. We didn't expect that. However, we knew that there was a couple of scenarios and opportunities for Fabio to capitalise on, and that's what he done. Could he have been better in moments? Of course. But at the end of the day, he managed to capitalise on one of the situations he was working on, and you know, that's all it takes. He's a bit like Deontay Wilder. That's how I'd say it. And you have to.
You can equalise a fight in any moment.
You have to game plan towards that and be realistic with that. We're not going to game plan for him to bank rounds and win moment to moment with Justis Huni. It wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I completely concur with you, because Justis Huni showed great hand speed tonight, great footwork, went to the body, went to his gas tank, went to Fabio's gas tank, slowed him in many of the rounds, but he couldn't stop that short chopping right hand, could he?
No, he's one of the best boxers, pure boxing, one of the best boxers in the heavyweight division. Still young, he'll come again in terms of Huni I'm talking about there, but you know, got a couple of habits to, you know, the way he commits with his right hand and the way he often returns and good counter puncher. That was something that we looked to try and capitalise on. And Fabio found the shot in the end.
It's funny because one of my colleagues on commentary tonight said, oh, this is getting uncomfortable. 7, 8, 9 rounds. Fabio being dominated in some ways by Justin. Not dominated and beaten up, but round by round. And then, you know, I said, I don't think we can, because with Fabio, there's a dog in there that'll never disappear. And you know that about him, which is why you'd probably never pull him out.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't say I would never.
Never say never.
Yeah, you have to be. But I don't think he got to a point where I thought, oh, I have to pull him out here. There was still moments where there was close calls with situations and shots that Fabio was throwing, and eventually he found it, which, you know, obviously, again, we wasn't expecting to bank rounds, but eventually got there.
I'm going to try and grab Frank in a minute, but who would you, Frank Warren obviously as promoter, but who would you like to see him go in with next? Because that was another massive learning fight in lots of ways tonight.
Yeah, he's got nothing to lose, is he? That's the reality of it, you know, time and time again, he's not expected to beat these guys, and he wins, but, you know, most of the time, well, sometimes it's through you know, he has to come through something, but he's ballsy, he can punch, and he's willing to lay all that on the line. That's why he sold what he sold tonight. Amazing crowd, and he earns it, and he's one of the most entertaining fighters in the division. So the biggest opportunity for him, he needs to take it, because he's in for a shout, you know, against anybody.
So with Ajit Kabayel, with Joseph Parker, one of those.
If there's titles on the line, you know, that was for the WBA interim. I don't know what Pulev and I'm hearing Pulev and Michael Hunter might be getting a fight, or maybe the winner of that, or we don't know how these belts might fragment or whatever, so we'll see. But biggest opportunity for him. If there's titles, that needs to be his priority. But yeah, he'll weigh up, him and his team, and they've done a great job of him so far, so yeah.
We've got to go back to the desk. We won't get Frank for now. Thanks, Ben Davison. Congratulations.
Top stuff. Listen, I think that's going to take a little bit of getting over, that, Spence, what we witnessed tonight.
Absolutely. Listen, look, one thing we learned from Fabio, or did we learn it? Because we've seen it in the past before. We saw it against Fraser Clark. But when in Fraser Clark, it was a very back and forth seesaw sort of contest where he was having his moments. There it was a very one-sided fight, but not in his favour. He showed a lot of character. He stuck in there, and I think they're the sort of development fights, John, that he needs. You know, we're talking about a kid coming from a white-collar background, you know, and he's still very much learning on the job.
It's why you and me, having been involved in boxing for as long as we have, we're still addicted to the sport, because it only takes one. And, you know, I mean, that is the sort of almost impossible punch that he found, I'd actually said, what on earth does he say to him now?
Yeah.
Where does he go from here? But he found it, and that's why we still, after all this time, are absolutely hypnotised by what we see between the ropes.
Absolutely sensational. There's going to be a lot of people bouncing out of Portman Road with smiles on their faces because ultimately they got what they came for. Yes, the guy got beat up for a large percentage, but when he landed, the roof here at Portman Road came clean off. Fabio Wardley is the WBO interim heavyweight champion of the world. He enters a pool of people like Ajit Kabayel and Joseph Parker, who are now waiting in line to see what happens on July 19th between Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk. What an unbelievable night. Thank you very much for joining us here live on talkSPORT and the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. Make sure you are tuning into talkSPORT throughout the course of the week as they pick the bones out of that. Simon Jordan was in attendance tonight. I've no doubt his whole show on Monday is going to be from 10 till 1 talking about that right hand. It was unbelievable. It was Fabio Wardley's night. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.